At 93, the legendary Sophia Loren remains an enduring symbol of grace, beauty, and passion. But amidst the glitz and glamour of her Hollywood career, there's a deeply personal story that resonates in her heart, one of love, loss, and an unbreakable bond. In a recent candid confession, Sophia opens up about a man she describes as the love of her life. Who is the man that Sophia was never able to forget? Join us as we take a look at the confession she made and the journey that led to the moment. From Pozzuoli to Hollywood. Sophia Loren's life is almost too remarkable to believe. It's the kind of story that could easily be a movie, and knowing her, it'd probably be a box office hit. Although she became one of the world's most glamorous movie stars, her journey to Hollywood was anything but smooth. Born Sophia Villani Ciccolone on September 20, 1934, she didn't start with much. Her mother, Romilda, dreamed of becoming an actress, but her father, Riccardo, a man of noble lineage, chose not to marry her, leaving Romilda and young Sophia on their own. Growing up in Pozzuoli near Naples was challenging, particularly with the constant threat of World War II bombings. The raids were so frequent that evading them almost became routine. In one instance, Sophia was struck on the chin by shrapnel, a scar she would carry with pride. After the war, the family returned to Pozzuoli, where her grandmother, Luisa, came up with a unique way to make ends meet, turning their living room into a pub and selling homemade cherry liquor to the American GIs stationed nearby. It was a lively scene. Romilda played the piano, Maria, Sophia's younger sister, sang, while Sophia herself took on the roles of waitress and dishwasher. One can imagine the American soldiers being unaware that they were served by a future Academy Award winner. At 15, Sophia entered the Miss Italia beauty pageant under the name Sophia Lazzaro. Though she didn't win the title, she earned Miss Elegance 1950, a fitting honor for someone on the path to international fame. Her pageant success led to opportunities, and in 1958, she signed a 5-picture contract with Paramount Pictures. Her beauty and screen presence were unmistakable, but her role in Two Women truly defined her career. Playing a mother protecting her daughter in wartime, her performance won her an Academy Award, the first for an actress in a non-English-speaking role. Quite a journey for someone who once dodged bombs and waited tables. The legendary Showdown on set, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was a Hollywood legend with a knack for stirring up trouble on set, and that larger-than-life attitude didn't always mesh well with his co-stars and crew. Over the years, he managed to clash with a lineup of Hollywood greats, Frank Sinatra, Val Kilmer, Al Pacino, and Maria Schneider, to name a few. And then there was Sophia Loren, stunning, strong-willed, and famously unbreakable. She'd navigated the industry's ups and downs with grace and grit, and if anyone could stand their ground against Brando, it was her. Their encounter on the set of A Countess from Hong Kong in 1967 cemented Brando's reputation as a man who could stir up as much drama off-screen as on. So, here's Brando, the Hollywood kingpin, starring in a romantic comedy under the direction of none other than Charlie Chaplin, a man known for his own unique style and tight control on set. Brando's role? An American diplomat who's fallen for Loren's character, a down-on-her-luck Russian countess. They're headed to America on a ship in classic rom-com style. But then, in a scene meant for a touch of romantic tension, Brando decides to up the ante with an unscripted, rather inappropriate move. Instead of the charm the scene called for, Brando gave Sophia an experience more befitting a soap opera gone wrong. In her memoir, Sophia describes how Brando suddenly put his hands on her, taking liberties the scene hadn't called for. But she didn't let it slide. Like a cat who'd just been rubbed the wrong way, she shot back with fiery resolve. "Don't you ever dare to do that again. Never again." Brando, apparently taken aback, shrank under Sophia's fierce gaze. She remembered him looking small, defenseless, almost a victim of his own fame. In that moment, Hollywood's legendary bad boy found himself firmly put in his place by a woman who wasn't about to let him off the hook. Sophia's courage is something to admire. She stood up to one of the era's biggest stars and made it clear her boundaries were rock solid. But she wasn't through showing him some tough love. In fact, she wasn't the only one giving Brando a reality check. Charlie Chaplin also had his own way of handling Brando's notorious tardiness. Brando would roll in late, leaving everyone on set waiting like kids with their noses pressed to the candy store window. Chaplin wasn't having any of it. He confronted Brando about his lack of punctuality. The effect? Marlon Brando didn't have a very good voice, very small, Sophia noted. After being berated by Chaplin, it went away. Brando's ego took quite the hit from two of Hollywood's most formidable figures, a sharp rebuke from Chaplin and Sophia's unmistakable glare. So what does this all say about Brando? It's clear he was a complex guy, brilliant on screen but with a reputation that wasn't always glamorous. And Sophia Loren? A true icon who stood her ground, proving that even the most notorious bad boys could be put in their place, with a swift, cat-like swat and a healthy dose of charm. A tale of unrequited love, Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers, a comedic genius with a knack for the absurd and a love life that could have been its dark comedy. His infatuation with the captivating Sophia Loren is legendary, a saga as compelling as it is, frankly, a bit ridiculous. There was a comic virtuoso, basking in fame but utterly captivated by an Italian film icon, while his family at home seemed practically invisible to him, pleading for his attention. The whole story began with "Goodness Gracious Me," a playful tune recorded at Abbey Road Studios in 1960. This quirky, politically incorrect song was meant to drum up excitement for the millionairess, in which Sophia plays a spoiled socialite pursuing Sellers' reluctant Indian doctor character. But in a plot twist fitting for Sellers' life, the song never made it into the movie. Instead, it became a peculiar relic of pop culture, forever tied to Sellers' over-the-top adoration for Sophia, which often overshadowed his obligations as a husband and father. Recently uncovered photographs from that recording session show a starstruck Sellers, visibly enchanted by a poised Sophia, who was just 26 years old, but already a global icon. Captured by renowned celebrity photographer Richie Howell, the shots are almost comically telling. Sellers, eyes wide and grinning like a schoolboy, while Loren gazes off with a look that might have said, "What on earth have I gotten myself into?" For Sellers, this was no passing crush. He left his first wife, Anne Howe, and their two children in a misguided attempt to live out some grand romance. It's almost as if he thought that adoring Sophia would let him rewrite his own life story. Sadly, it didn't. Sophia, meanwhile, had her own life to live and seemed hardly interested in Sellers' impassioned overtures. The tension in the Sellers household hit new heights when he reportedly told his daughter Sarah, who was just 5 years old at the time, "Of course I love you, darling. Just not as much as Sophia Loren." Not exactly the ideal dad talk. Poor Sarah must have thought, "I guess I'll send my Father's Day cards to Rome." Meanwhile, Sellers' fixation took a toll on his family life, transforming him into a shell of his former self. He began skipping family moments in favor of a daydream romance, leaving his ex-wife to remark that he started treating her like a mother rather than a partner. A romantic reinvention that crashed and burned, Sellers' passion for Sophia Loren remains an unforgettable, if slightly tragic, chapter in the life of a man who made the world laugh, even as his own world was falling apart. In those candid photos from the Abbey Road sessions, you can see the chemistry, or perhaps just the contrast, between Sellers' unfiltered adoration and Loren's cool demeanor. He's leaning in, eyes wide with infatuation, while she seems amused, possibly even a little bemused by his antics. It's a classic case of someone projecting their dreams onto someone who is just there to have a good time. It's almost as if Loren had a sign hanging around her neck that read, "I'm here for the music, not the melodrama." A love story of scandal. Sophia's love story with her husband isn't your typical Hollywood romance. At just 16 in 1950, Sophia, a captivating young woman from a small Italian town, met a man 20 years older and already established as a respected film producer. That man was Carlo Ponti, a respected film producer and, as luck and complications would have it, married. Their connection was instantaneous, and Sophia later recalled the moment they met at a beauty contest in Rome where he sat as a judge. "It was love at first sight for both of us," she wrote in the Northeastern Dictionary of Women's Biography. Carlo spotted her in the crowd, sent over a note inviting her to join the contest, and, as Sophia put it, "That's how we started to see each other." It began innocently, but by the time she was 19, it was no teenage crush. This was the real deal. Sophia, barely into her 20s and already tangled in Italy's famously complex marriage laws, had every reason to hit the brakes. Carlo, her man of choice, was still legally married to his first wife, Giuliana Fiastri, and in deeply Catholic Italy, divorce was a legal Rubik's Cube. Rather than call it quits, though, the couple kept their romance under wraps, navigating years of waiting while Carlo battled to untie himself from his existing marriage. And naturally, a love story this complicated wasn't going to fly under the radar. Enter Cary Grant, the Hollywood charmer with a smile as sharp as his suits. In 1957, while filming The Pride and the Passion, Cary found himself utterly smitten with the then 22-year-old Sophia. True to form, he didn't play coy. He professed his feelings and, yes, even proposed to her. Another time, another universe, Sophia might have considered Cary's offer, but her heart was firmly set on Carlo, even if it meant enduring the legal circus that came with it. Reflecting on the moment years later, she revealed to the Sydney Morning Herald, "Cary was in love with me and wanted me to marry him, but that would have meant leaving Carlo and creating a huge scandal." And scandal was precisely what followed, but not because of Cary. When Carlo finally managed to arrange a marriage by proxy in Mexico in 1957, they thought they had found a loophole in Italy's ironclad marriage laws. But Italian authorities didn't see it that way and charged them with bigamy, refusing to recognize their union. So, in a twist only worthy of classic cinema, the newlyweds were forced to annul their marriage. Imagine trying to explain that one in interviews. Sophia herself quipped to reporters, "My husband, that is, my former husband, I mean my fiancé," a line that perfectly captured the legal and emotional circus they were in. After facing the heat from Italian courts, the couple made a home in France. Finally, in 1965, Carlo was granted a divorce. They remarried, this time legally, and in a much quieter ceremony than Sophia had likely ever imagined. If you're thinking this is where they sailed off into the sunset, think again. Sophia, ever the realist, admitted later that theirs wasn't exactly a fairy tale ending. Life in the public eye, combined with the weight of a relationship tested by scandal and separations, meant they had their share of challenges. Still, Sophia and Carlo were together for nearly 5 decades until Carlo's passing, standing by each other through every high and low. Yet even after all they went through, Sophia shared a simple, almost childlike regret from her wedding days. She never wore a white wedding dress. Years later, she admitted in an interview with Radio Times, "The only thing I regret a little is that I never got married in a white dress. That was the dream of my life, which is still inside me." Born into the spotlight. 2 years after her marriage to Carlo Ponti, Sophia became a mother for the first time, welcoming Carlo Ponti Jr. into the world on December 29, 1968. Just imagine the scene, a brand new mom, a flood of cameras, and a hospital room filled with journalists, all clamoring for a glimpse of the iconic actress and her newborn. Talk about being thrown into the spotlight from day one. In classic Sophia fashion, she handled the chaos with a mix of grace and humor. Instead of shooing away the press, she embraced the moment, turning her son's arrival into a media event. It was almost like a red carpet premiere, but with baby bottles instead of movie posters. Carlo Jr. grew up in a household where fame was the norm. And as he got older, he realized that having Sylvester Stallone pop by for dinner wasn't exactly standard for most kids. The blend of Hollywood glam and familial warmth must have given him a unique outlook on life. Fast forward to today, and he's now an accomplished orchestral conductor, wielding his baton with the same passion his mother brought to the silver screen. Meanwhile, there's Eduardo, the younger sibling, born on January 6, 1973. If Carlo Jr. was the quiet composer, Eduardo is the life of the party. An outgoing guy with dreams of becoming a director, he took a slightly different path but remained very much in the family business, creating films that capture the essence of life and love. While Carlo Jr. was likely busy conducting, Eduardo was busy plotting his next cinematic masterpiece, proving that the Ponti household was a breeding ground for creativity. Both sons have a knack for making public appearances alongside their famous mom, stealing the spotlight right back from her. Can you blame them? It must be like walking a red carpet with a Hollywood legend while trying to remind everyone, "Hey, we're here too." Their interviews often highlight how much they adore her, with heartfelt admiration and maybe a bit of playful teasing thrown in for good measure. After all, what's family without a little friendly banter? Sophia's family life didn't just stop at career paths. Carlo Jr. found love with musician Andrea Messaros, and they welcomed a son, Vittorio Leone, in 2007. As for Eduardo, he's kept his mother on her toes, likely showcasing some of his directorial flair in their family dynamics. Imagine a dinner party at their place. One son conducting a symphony in the living room while the other directs a mini-movie about family life. The only thing missing would be popcorn. Both Carlo and Eduardo have embraced the creative spirit of their mother while adding their unique flavors to the mix. From red carpets to concert halls, the Ponti family continues to dazzle. With Sophia Loren at the helm, it's a family affair filled with music, movies, and plenty of love. And who wouldn't want an invite to that kind of gathering? But as every great story has its twists, the Ponti family is no exception, facing their own shadows just beyond the glimmer of the lights. A heartfelt loss. Carlo Ponti, Sophia's husband, passed away in 2007 at the age of 94. For Sophia Loren, he wasn't just her husband. He was the love of her life, a figure who shaped her both personally and professionally. In her memoir, Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, My Life, she fondly recalls the beautiful journey they shared over their 42 years of marriage. Sophia, who was just a young, aspiring actress back in the day, was drawn to a man 20 years her senior. She admitted, "It was the dream of my life to have a father. I married an older man like him." Isn't that something? It's fascinating how relationships can fill gaps we might not even know we have. As she reminisces about those early days, you can almost hear the warmth in her voice. "By that time, whenever I went out, it was with Carlo," she says. Of course, their situation was a bit complicated. He was still married to Giuliana Fiastri, but that didn't stop their connection from blossoming. True, he was married, and we had to be careful. Only later would our fondness turn into love, she writes. It's such a relatable scenario, isn't it? Sometimes love just has a way of sneaking up on you. Carlo wasn't just a romantic partner. He was a pivotal force in Sophia's career. He recognized her talent and cast her in films like Anna and I Dream of Zorro, which helped launch her into stardom. I was content to be lucky enough to finally have someone beside me who knew how to speak to me, who could give me advice, she reflects. Who wouldn't want that? Having someone in your corner, especially in a challenging industry, is invaluable. What really tugs at the heartstrings is how Sophia describes Carlo's influence on her life. There was something fatherly about his presence, she shares. With all the chaos swirling around her as she made her mark in Hollywood, Carlo offered a sense of stability. He gave me a rootedness that kept me grounded, she adds. That's such a beautiful way to put it, having someone who keeps you anchored when everything feels overwhelming. Then came that fateful summer in 1954, while filming Woman of the River. It was during this time that they both realized their connection had deepened into something more profound. It was there that we finally understood we'd fallen in love, Sophia writes. Love can be so surprising, can't it? It finds a way to flourish in the most unexpected moments and places. Yet it's bittersweet to think that Sophia now has to navigate the rest of her life without the love of her life by her side. Shining through life's challenges. You know, Sophia has always been that dazzling presence on screen, right? A true Italian icon, she's managed to charm us for decades. But as life would have it, she faced a pretty significant challenge as 2023 came to an end. At 89, she found herself in the hospital after taking a tumble at her home in Geneva. Can you picture it? Here's this radiant star, gracefully moving through her lovely home, and then, bam, a slip in the bathroom that led to some serious fractures in her femur and hip. That's a tough break for anyone, especially for someone who has spent a lifetime in the spotlight. Thankfully, the medical team was right on it. After surgery, the news was positive and we all breathed a sigh of relief. It's amazing how resilient she's proven to be. Her restaurant chain kept fans in the loop via social media, sharing updates about her fall and recovery. They mentioned that everything went well with her surgery and that she'd be on the mend soon. It's heartwarming to see how much love and support surrounds her, isn't it? The team even sent her warm wishes, showing just how connected they feel to her, even in tough times. And let's not forget, just a week before her fall, she celebrated her 89th birthday. Talk about a milestone. She had plans to open a new restaurant in Bari, Italy, and even received honorary citizenship there. How cool is that? But life had other ideas for her, as it often does. Family means everything, especially during moments like these. Sophia's sons, Carlo Jr. and Eduardo, were right by her side in the hospital. Their bond is beautiful and speaks volumes about the love they share. It's touching, especially when you think about how she often reflects on her late husband, Carlo Ponti. She's mentioned feeling lonely without him, and that's something we can all relate to at some level. Loneliness can creep in, even for someone as vibrant as Sophia. Her life has been a mix of dazzling success and heartfelt moments. It's a journey filled with ups and downs, triumphs and losses. Even a star like her feels the weight of loneliness at times, and it's refreshing to see that vulnerability. She's been through so much, navigating the film industry and dealing with personal heartbreak, and yet she remains a beacon of strength, a fighter in heels. When you think about it, Sophia's journey is pretty remarkable. She credits her success largely to her most important teacher, Vittorio De Sica, who directed her breakout film The Gold of Naples back in 1954. This role led to a 13-film collaboration with Marcello Mastroianni and eventually paved the way for her Hollywood career. Imagine Sophia arriving in Los Angeles, all starry-eyed and with a 5-picture contract from Paramount, but, surprise, she doesn't speak a word of English. "I started by learning the script," she laughs. "What does that mean? What are they saying?" I was completely lost, but instead of panicking, she dove right in. "I was willing to learn, willing to go, yes!" You have to admire her guts. Who wouldn't feel a little out of place trying to impress directors while struggling to figure out if action means to move or to freeze? And let's talk about how intimidating it must have been. Here she is, surrounded by legends, trying to act in a foreign language. It was really hard for me to think about what I had to do in front of the camera with some of the people I had seen in films. My God. And in another language. Can you imagine trying to act while also mentally translating every line? It's a miracle she didn't invent a new kind of acting style in the process. Then came the call that would make anyone's heart race. Charlie Chaplin wanted her to co-star in A Countess from Hong Kong alongside Marlon Brando. You'd think that would be exciting, right? Well, not for Sophia. Never, 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 she recalls, admitting she hardly slept, worrying she wouldn't live up to Charlie's expectations. But she had a big family relying on her. "I wasn't only thinking of myself," she reflects. Working with Chaplin turned out to be a game changer. "It was a big moment in my life," she remembers fondly. "When we finished, I cried my eyes out. Can you blame her?" Being mentored by one of the greatest comedic geniuses ever would leave anyone a little emotional. But the Hollywood dream didn't come without its challenges. Sophia faced some absurd criticism along the way, like when one of her husband's cameramen shouted, "She's impossible to photograph, her face is too short, her mouth is too big, her nose is too long." Really? Who says that? But instead of letting that get her down, Sophia stood her ground. "If they had asked me to change something, I would have said, 'No thank you, I'm not coming. You go, girl.'" She's learned to embrace her unique features over the years. "I became kind of accustomed to my features," she laughs, practically shrugging off the criticisms. "Not bad, not bad." It's like she's saying, "You don't like my nose? Well, tough luck." So what fuels this incredible drive? Sophia attributes it to her childhood poverty. "I didn't want to go through the feeling of losing my battle," she says. "I started to be a kind of fighter." And fight she did. With her trademark charm and fierce spirit, she reminds us all that embracing who you are, no matter what others think, is the best role you can ever play. What do you think about Sophia Loren's views on love and commitment? Make sure to subscribe and let us know your opinion in the comments below.